Okay, there we go. So in this one, I'm going to structure it so hopefully you see the generic and how we come from the generic to the individual. Eventually you'll get to a point where you're just drawing and you just jump right in and do the individual. But if you're trying it out for the first time, again, these guidelines never really hurt you any. And again, you know, sort of like where my eyes are falling, all that good stuff. 50-yard line, 75-yard line, 87.5%, and so on. You know, again, I'm at a point where I can start blocking all that stuff in right away. But again, you see where the generic falls into place. Also, too, I already know my hairline sits below my scalp. And so let's see here. What I'm going to do, I'm going to start with a little bit of value. Because after all, we've been trained in value. Because again, we've got our generic body there. And I'm going to start in, when you're doing yourself, think about ways that you can make your lighting interesting. By having lighting on one side of my face, and forgive me if the light is shining in your eyes, I can start to see, you know, something that's kind of interesting and a little different in there. And that also helps define your shapes, the shapes of your face a little better. So I'm going to be kind of working off of two sources, which is kind of unusual, and that is just because we are in a pandemic and I cannot take my mask off. So I'm actually going to kind of work both off of my phone for my nose and mouth, as well as basically working on the fly. Again, I tend to block in a lot of value, but you saw how the generic already popped in. For those of you who want to buff your charcoal, you certainly can, but I don't think it's necessary, you know, all the time. It's up to you. But spend some time with your pencil. Spend some time with your eraser as well. So I'm kind of digging right in because, again, I already know where I'm going. So I can just kind of dig right in. Part of your sketchbook work, you're going to be doing eyes. So spend some time looking at yours. Spend some time looking at your beautiful eyes. And spend some time drawing them. Typically, that football shape I showed you on the generic is kind of common. Many of us have eyes that are a little bit more almond shaped. Resist the impulse to get your whole iris in there unless you're Tracy Ellis Ross. You probably don't have, you know, irises that kind of pop out of your entire eye. But again, you're examining yours. So here now I'm kind of relying on the selfie only because, you know, I can't take my mask off in the classroom because we want to keep everybody safe. But again, you're seeing how, in my case, because I'm of African descent, my nostrils go further out. So be mindful of the, you know, sort of that vertical alignment of your features, especially, you know, if you're not European, which most of us are not. And that's okay. It's just that system was developed, you know, these are Renaissance systems, and they didn't know we were coming. So now they know, you know, we're here, and we have to be mindful of those things as we're drawing in our drawing. So again, let's see, coming in, there's that lovely thing between your nose and your mouth. Cupid's bow. I'm looking at, as I'm drawing that lip, how far out? Should go about to the center of my mouth. Some people have wider mouths. Yours might be narrower. But again, you're looking now, you're moving from the generic into what is individually you. And again, I tend to do that with a little bit of value on the side. My lips are a little thinner. I kind of always wish I had them big full ones, but I work with what I got. And then from here, so you've got a good chunk of the basic individual here. I'm going to extend the chin a little bit. So my chin is a little bit more than the generic, which is tricky to see. And then even though I've got a mask on, do not neglect your ears, ladies and gentlemen. By the time you've drawn them several times, you'll have a good amount of practice and really see them. You may need to use multiple mirrors. If I were drawing the full side of my ear, I'd have a mirror here and one to my side so I can see the whole ear. You owe it to yourselves as figure artists to really kind of understand, you know, all the little details of the body. If we were around during Renaissance times, you know, we'd have been like doing nothing but anatomy classes and looking at bodies and looking at, you know, even studying cadavers and stuff, so that you really understand what the body is doing. So do not shy away from ears, people. Don't shy away from ears and lips and things because they are complex. Complexity is good for you. Your brain is a muscle, and so you guys know if you work out, you exercise and stuff, and you stop, those muscles don't get the oxygen and stuff that they need, and they get weaker. The brain is the same way. The more stuff that you do to stimulate and learn new things, the stronger your brain becomes. So, you know, when you hear people that are dealing with Alzheimer's and those kinds of things, some of that is because the brain has been allowed to atrophy. We're not doing anything new with our lives and with our energy. So the beauty of being an artist, folks, my theory is that we'll never go senile, but that's just my you know, biased thinking. Now, I don't have any eyelashes to speak of, and even if I did, I can't count them. So I might treat that eyelash line really just as a little bit of shadow, because that's mainly what I see when I look at mine. Now, some of you have really nice ones. You might, you know, flip up a few on there, especially, you know, if you put yours on today. You know, I know some of y'all got them really Hollywood lashes, but be mindful and just, you know, remember you can't count them all, so you can't necessarily draw them all. Trying to do them all individually can be a little tricky. In rendering eyes, and you notice something, I hadn't hit my eraser much most of this scenario. My nose is a little wider than it, you know, my normal nose is, but we'll work with it. Because again, I'm kind of speculating. I'm doing this sort of composite drawing that's both, you know, photo selfie as well as working from life. I recommend you guys do the whole thing from life. Again, we're trying to just accommodate our pandemic programming here. So let's see. So now I'm dressing hairline. I've got kind of a little wispy gray hairline, which I'll tackle in a moment with my eraser. And then I've got all this fun stuff here happening around my head. I'm just having a little fun with it. And I can choose, let's see, let's blend some of that in so it doesn't quite fall out. Now notice I didn't put my glasses on. Sometimes I'll draw myself without them. Sometimes I draw them with. If you wear glasses, that's a personal decision you can make. I think there are benefits to going both ways. Of course, if you draw yourself with your glasses on, you can see. But also, too, sometimes if you're really nearsighted and you draw yourself without your glasses, you can't see. And sometimes that works to your advantage in a drawing because you're not quite as detail-oriented. But since I'm here and I wear glasses and I got a few more minutes, I'm going to go and pop them in. So if they're an essential part of your identity, then by all means, draw them in. And probably not quite so high up. Or, you know, if it's just part of a personality thing that you want to do, then that's also, you know, another thing. Sometimes glasses are handy, you know, if you wear them, because glasses don't really shift, you know, your facial features, your skin can shift a little bit. The glasses stay fairly uniform, so for glasses wearers, that can serve as a bit of an anchor. You also know that your glasses are going to be fairly symmetrical. And so again, that helps you in establishing the symmetry of the face. So certainly if it's a part of your identity, pop it in. I'll encourage you to try it both ways, or try it both, you know, with glasses and without glasses, and kind of see what the differences are in the way you draw. Because for me, my glasses are a fact of life, so they're kind of a fact of my face. And then because I'm a little older, I'm going to come in and use some value and get some of these bags under my eyes and stuff like that. You guys probably don't have to worry about that until finals week when we're going to work you guys to death. But basically, so not bad for a starter portrait. Could use a little bit more value, and I'm going to start popping that in. Oh, so see, I get my. So as you're doing portraits too, don't just do a head floating in space. Anchor yourselves on your neck, anchor yourselves on your shoulders, and make yourself a fully realized being. Which might mean you might have to learn how to draw your neck, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. And again, I'll come in, play with that. I can add that black in later, again, in the interest of time. I'll just get these up. So it's not bad, and not a lot of eraser action, not a lot. I said I was going to do that for my hair though. So establish your value in there. So remember too, your eraser is as much of a drawing tool as your pencil. You guys don't have gray hair that you have to render yet, but something to keep in mind in case later on you do get some. Because, you know, we're going to try to worry you while you're here at CSU. And mostly art majors in this room, so yeah, we're going to put you through some stress before it's over with. So at this point, I'm just, you know, I'm pretty happy with how the drawing, you know, looks. It's a little slimmer than I am now. It's probably more my 20-year-old self. But again, working within the constraints of what we work with, hopefully what I've been able to show is how you go from the generic in your drawing into something that's a bit more individual. So again, you know what those basic measurements are, but because you are a unique individual, you will vary from that script somewhat. And the challenge in this drawing, which is your next assignment, folks, is to find out how you vary. You know, how do you go from the generic to the non-generic? And so it'll be about studying. What you may want to do is do your sketchbook work first and spend a little bit of time drawing your features out. Typically, for many of us, our upper lip is a little darker than the lower lip. There's usually also a bit of shadow underneath, you know, underneath the, underneath the lower lip. Goodness gracious. Anything else I want to add in? So we're in the home stretch, folks. So are there any questions while I kind of wind this up and finish? I'll put this video up too for later. I did this for Jennifer. Hey, Jennifer, for her benefit, but you guys are more than welcome to come in, you know, if you want to see it again, all that good stuff. But any questions as you take on your own beautiful features and stuff? So again, key things to try to remember. If you have a light or a lamp, even if it's a desk lamp or a flashlight, I wouldn't say use your phone light because that kind of kills your battery. But that idea of taking advantage of lighting one side of your face to help make the features a little bit more interesting and intriguing. Let's see, what else can I put in here? Now, of course, I can manicure this drawing to death, but we're going to keep it to a level that I think drawing one can handle with no real problems. And I did it in 13 minutes. Now, if it takes you guys an hour, that's okay. Okay, don't feel like you got to make it happen in 13 minutes. This has been, you know, a result of years of doing street drawings and working on street corners for my supper and all that good stuff. So take your time and again, see if you can take yourself from the generic to the more individual. And I'm going to cut that recording off at this point.